There is a version of a fragrance that plays it safe. And then there is the version that decides to go completely dark, completely bold, completely unapologetic. Carolina Herrera 212 VIP Black is very much the second version. The moment this hits your skin, you know you are not dealing with something timid. This is a fragrance that walks into the room before you do. It announces itself. And here is the thing, it costs £98 as a gift set, which means you are getting the 100ml EDP plus a bath and shower gel. That is a full grooming package, not just a bottle. But the real question, and I am going to answer this fully by the end of the video, is whether the juice inside that dramatic black bottle actually justifies the hype that the 212 VIP line has built up over the years. Because there is something about the dry down of this fragrance that genuinely surprised me. Stay with me, because I think it will surprise you too. Carolina Herrera. Venezuelan-born, New York-made. The house has been dressing and scenting the world's elite since the early 80s, and the fragrance arm of the brand has always mirrored that same philosophy, glamour with structure, boldness with elegance. The original 212 launched in 1997, a love letter to New York City. Then came 212 VIP, which leaned into the nightlife, the velvet rope, the champagne at the back of the club energy. And then Black arrived. Black took everything the VIP line stood for and turned the lights down low. This is the after-hours version. The one that stays when everyone else has gone home. Carolina Herrera as a house understands masculinity in fragrance in a very specific way. It is never brash, never cheap, always aspirational. And 212 VIP Black sits right at the peak of that philosophy. This is a fragrance built for the man who has already made it, or at least wants to smell like he has. Right. The bottle. Let us talk about it, because this is genuinely one of the best-looking flacons in mass-market luxury fragrance. That angular, almost architectural shape, it is sharp, it is confident, it is completely unapologetic. The black glass catches the light in a way that feels expensive, and the gunmetal accents keep it masculine without tipping into aggressive. The cap sits flush and solid. No wobble, no plasticky click, it feels like a proper piece of kit. The gift set packaging itself is well presented, not quite as elevated as some of the niche houses, but absolutely appropriate for the price point. You could hand this to someone at Christmas or a birthday and it would land well. It looks like it costs more than £98, which is exactly what you want from a gift. On your bathroom shelf, this holds its own. It is a display-worthy bottle. No question. The opening is immediate and commanding. There is no slow reveal here. 212 VIP Black announces itself in the first second. You get this dense, almost syrupy hit of rum and dark vanilla that punches through the air with real confidence. It is warm, it is rich, and it has this slightly boozy quality that feels incredibly nighttime. The projection off the first spray is genuinely impressive. This is not a fragrance you will be questioned about whether you are wearing a scent. People will know. The opening has a darkness to it, a depth, that immediately sets it apart from the original VIP, which was much more effervescent and champagne-led. This is darker in every sense of the word. In the first few minutes there is also a subtle woody quality underpinning that boozy opening, like rich, polished wood rather than raw timber. It is sophisticated. It sets expectations high. The question is whether the heart and the dry down can maintain that energy. As 212 VIP Black develops on skin, and we are talking the first 30 to 60 minutes here, something interesting happens. That bold, slightly boozy rum opening begins to soften, and what emerges is a smoother, creamier core. The dark vanilla that was aggressive at first becomes almost velvety. There is a warmth here that is genuinely seductive. I want to be honest with you, the heart is not complex in the way that a niche fragrance might challenge you. This is not a puzzle. This is a statement. But what it does extraordinarily well. The creamy, dark, slightly resinous quality that comes through in the heart is incredibly wearable while still being bold. There is a smoothness now that the opening did not have. And that transition, from punchy and rum-drenched to silky and dark, that is where this fragrance really earns its reputation. I will say, if you are someone who tends to find sweet or gourmand fragrances cloying, this might test your patience slightly in the heart. It leans sweet. Not aggressively so, but it is there. Worth knowing. This is where I genuinely stopped and reconsidered my expectations of 212 VIP Black. 3 hours in, what you are left with is this incredibly smooth, warm, woody amber base that feels like skin but elevated. The sweetness that was prominent in the heart recedes just enough, and what remains is a rich, slightly smoky, deeply comforting base that is quite beautiful. There is something almost cashmere-like about the dry down, soft, luxurious, intimate. If the opening says I am here, the dry down says stay. It shifts from being a projection monster to being something much more personal, much more close to the skin. And I think that is intentional. This fragrance tells a story over the course of an evening, loud and commanding at the start, intimate and magnetic by the end. The dry down genuinely rewards patience, and it is arguably the best phase of the fragrance. That is the surprising thing I promised you at the start. The opening gets all the press, but the dry down is the real reason people come back to this one. Right, numbers. Because this matters when you are spending real money. On skin, I am getting a solid 7 to 8 hours with this. In the first 2 to 3 hours, the projection and sillage are genuinely room-filling. You will leave a trail, people will notice, you will not need to wonder if anyone can smell you. They can. As the dry down settles in, it becomes more of a 2 to 3 foot sillage rather than a room filler, which I think is actually ideal. On fabric, on a coat collar, a scarf, a shirt, you are looking at 12 to 14 hours easily, potentially longer. Clothes hold this beautifully. In terms of time of day, this is unambiguously an evening and nighttime fragrance. Wearing it in a Monday morning meeting would feel like showing up in a tuxedo. Autumn, winter, the colder months, this is where it belongs and where it absolutely shines. On a cold night, the warmth this generates against the cold air is genuinely something special. Let me paint a few pictures for you. If you are the kind of person who takes their time getting ready before a night out, who thinks about what they wear, how they present themselves, who understands that a fragrance is a finishing touch not an afterthought, this is absolutely for you. If you are someone who tends to rotate between a few reliable scents and wants something for those occasions where you need to feel your absolute best, a date, a party, a big night with people who matter, this does that job brilliantly. If you appreciate something that evolves over an evening rather than just sitting static on your skin, you will enjoy the journey this takes you on. Now, who should not wear this? If you run warm or live in a hot climate, be careful. The sweetness and density of this fragrance in heat can become overwhelming very quickly. It is built for cold air. If you prefer fresh, aquatic, or green fragrances, this will feel completely alien to you. Do not expect to be converted. And if you are someone who prefers their fragrance to be a subtle, background presence rather than a statement, this will likely feel like too much. This fragrance has a personality, and it expects you to have one too. £98 for the gift set. You are getting 100ml EDP and a 100ml bath and shower gel. The EDP alone at retail typically sits around £80 to £85, so the gift set is genuinely adding value. You are essentially getting the shower gel for around £13 to £18 on top. On a pure per milliliter basis for the EDP, you are looking at roughly 80 to 85 pence per milliliter. For a mainstream luxury EDP with this kind of performance, that is fair value. You are paying partly for the name, partly for the bottle, and partly for the juice, and the juice actually delivers, which is not always the case at this price point. You can pick up this gift set at p-11.com, which is where I would point you in the UK for the best price and genuine stock. Link is in the description. If you want something that scratches a similar itch for less money, look at Spice Bomb Extreme by Victor and Rolf. It shares that dark, spicy, resinous warmth and performs exceptionally well at a slightly lower price point. But 212 VIP Black has its own identity that Spice Bomb does not fully replicate. My score, 7.5 out of 10. Here is the reasoning. Performance is strong, the dry down is genuinely excellent, the bottle is one of the best in this tier, and the gift set adds real value. It loses points for not being particularly complex or challenging. This is not a fragrance that will teach you something new about perfumery. It is a very well-executed crowd pleaser that knows exactly what it is. And for the right person on the right occasion, that is more than enough. 212 VIP Black is a fragrance that delivers on its promise, bold, dark, seductive, and surprisingly intimate by the dry down, and the gift set format makes the £98 ask genuinely reasonable. It is not trying to be complex, it is trying to be unforgettable, and more often than not, it succeeds. If you own this one, I want to know, did the dry down justify the price for you, or did you find something that does the dark, sweet, evening thing better for less money? Tell me in the comments, I read every single one. And if honest fragrance reviews with no fluff and no agenda are what you are after, subscribe. I post every week. See you in the next one.